What is going on, guys? Hunter Modise here when you guys a brand new video. Today we are going to do a how to play on Kalista. Now, she is one of my favorite champions to play because she is so versatile and because she is so underplayed and underutilized. But first, let me just apologize because my videos haven't been as consistent as they were before, but I work a full-time job, I go to school full-time, and you know, I'm married and have a family, so it's very difficult for me to find the time, and things have been getting a little crazy lately, so I just want to formally apologize for the lack of content. But I promise you that nothing will stop me from making these videos. They just might not be as common as they used to be. Now, I was looking through my channel a little bit ago and I realized that I don't have a how to play video that has come out recently. I mean, it's probably been about a month since the last how to play. So I thought I would do another video and on one of my all-time favorite champions, a champion that, again, like I said, is so underutilized. And if you learn how to play her properly, she is incredible. So with all of that being said, let's jump right into her abilities now. Her passive, which is Martial Poise. All this is essentially that every time that she auto attacks, she can jump from side to side, forward, or back. Every time she auto attacks. Now, this only happens if you auto attack and then click somewhere else. She'll jump to that location. If you are standing still, then she will not jump. So keep that in the back of your head. So nothing too crazy on her passive, but it is very utilized, and I'll tell you why a little later on in the video. Now, her Q, this is going to be Pierce. This is just going to be her throwing a spear that goes a short distance, and if it kills an enemy or a minion, it will go through that minion and into the next one behind it. Now, it also does apply a spear stack, and I'll get into that as well in just a little bit, but it can be used to kill somebody, or it could be used to just kind of be a little bit of poke damage. Now, if you're having a hard time picturing what I'm trying to say, it's pretty similar to Varus's Q, except it doesn't travel through everybody. It stops at the first enemy hit unless that enemy is killed. Now, let's move on to her W. Now, this is going to be Sentinel. What this does, so it's a similar thing to Ashe's Hawkeye. Now, what she does is she puts out a Sentinel, really goes to a specific location that she desires, and it basically goes back and forth until it is killed or until time runs out. It reveals a small area in front of it in almost a cone shape, so you're able to get some vision on the enemy's jungle, or you're able to get some vision on where the bot lane is, but it really is just used for sight. However, this also has a small little effect, and that is when her Oathsworn, which is the person that she is combined with, which I will go into in a second, attack the same target, she gets a little bit of bonus damage. So if you're playing Kalista, you want to make sure that your support is attacking the same person that you are. If you are, you know, going all in, or you're going for a trade or whatever, because she does do a little bit more damage doing so. Now let's jump to her E. Now her E is going to be Rend. I talked a little bit about a spear being stuck into an enemy champion. Well, this is what the Rend has to do with things. So when you throw your Q out to somebody, it lands a spear, and that spear will stick into them, as well as auto attacks. Auto attacks will also stack spears into the opponent. When you use your E, it will then rip all of the spears that you have stacked out of that champion or minion, doing extra damage. Now, I'm sure that you can guess, the more spears, the more damage. It can be used very well as an execute if you're able to stack a lot of spears on somebody, and it's great to use for tanks, especially because it does do so much damage, and because you can sit there and auto attack them, and with her passive that she has, she's able to kite really well. I mean, you're able to jump back and forth and get these stacks, or jump backwards if you're being chased, and your Rend also does apply a small slow to the enemy, and it doesn't last very long, but it can be used maybe to catch up. And one other thing about Rend, and that's if you kill an enemy or a minion with your Rend, it will actually refund 30 mana, and it'll completely get rid of the cooldown that it had. So it can be used kind of like a farming tool. You're able to get a minion down to super low health and pull the spears out of them. That will help your farming out a little bit better. Now let's move on to what really makes her busted, and that's going to be her ultimate. And this is called Fate's Call. So a little bit ago I talked about an Oathsworn, and that's kind of something that I missed in the passive, but she actually is able to bind herself with an ally, and that's where the ult comes in. Now when you have someone that is Oathsworn to you or binded to you, when you press your ultimate, it will actually draw that person in towards you, and hold on to them, and then they're able to click out of it and launch to a certain location. When they do jump to a certain location, it will actually knock enemies slightly up and back, so it can be used to either save your support if they went a little too crazy without your permission, and it can also be used to engage. You know, if you see someone that's caught out, you can ult your Oathsworn and throw them into the pile, and this will allow them to get a slight knock up and a little bit of CC. The only thing that really does suck about her ultimate is that if the Oathsworn is not nearby, she really has no ult. So you really have to rely on your skill or your mechanics to get out of a sticky situation, or sometimes you're just not going to survive because not having the Oathsworn next to you, you lose a little bit of bonus damage and you don't have that escape tool or that knock-up tool. With that being said, it is still a great tool to utilize, and you know, a lot of people don't really play supports with Kalistas a lot, and so it may take your support a few times to really understand how to use the ultimate, depending on what elo you're in. If you're in, like, you know, iron or bronze, they may take a little bit longer to figure things out, but after that point, it's not too bad. So those are Kalista's abilities. Very, very simple, but you just have to keep in mind that she is a very auto attack heavy. She does rely on her abilities a little bit, but most of the time you're gonna just use your E and your auto attacks, and that's gonna be where the main source of your damage comes from. Now, let's look at some of the runes that you're gonna wanna be taking. Now, this is gonna be pretty simple stuff. You can decide between lethal tempo or fleet footwork, and then you're going to want to go Triumph. Triumph is going to be really the only one that I would really suggest that you use. Anything else in the precision tree is going to be up to you. She isn't the strongest in the meta right now, so there isn't like a win every game sort of scenario with her with the runes. You're just going to kind of have to adjust them to your support and to who you're playing against. That's going to be really what you're building for. Your secondary tree, I like to go with Inspiration and maybe take a Time Warp Tonic and Biscuit Delivery just to stay healthy in the early game, because that always helps out quite a bit. Now, let's jump into some of the items that you're going to want. Now, when I play Kalista, there are two items that I always go for, and that's going to be Bork or Blade of the Ruined King, because you're going to have the slight slow that you're going to be able to get, and that will help you kite around and get some extra kills, as well as Runnin's Hurricane. Now, Runnin's Hurricane, when you use it, for those that don't know, you actually are able to attack 3 targets, but the other 2 targets aside from your main one only take a small percent of the damage. But with Kalista specifically, using this Runnin's Hurricane allows you to stack spears on multiple people. So if you're team fighting or trying to wave clear a big wave, using your Ren with the Runnin's Hurricane can really help you with wave clear, and it can help you dish out damage to really anybody. So those are going to be the 2 items that I would suggest. Sometimes maybe you need a scimitar, other times you want a rage blade. It's going to kind of just depend on how your game is going, what kind of team they have. So I just don't feel right telling you guys to build these specific items, because it's going to change every game. Now, how are you going to want to play Kalista? Well, I've kind of talked about it a little bit already, but I'll go a little bit more in depth, and you guys can see on screen exactly what I'm talking about. But moving is going to be your best friend. She's very similar to Draven. As every auto attack, you're going to have a lot of movement, and you need to be able to stick with that movement, because if you don't and you end up standing still, it can be really hard for you to kind of maneuver out of enemy spells or get away from damage or disengage, whatever it may be. Now, if you're a little higher elo, or maybe you're a little more of an experienced player, I'm sure that you're already canceling auto attacks and you're already kind of walking back and forth between shots. So it's going to be pretty easy for you to pick up with Kalista. You're just going to have to remember that she does move a whole lot while she is auto attacking. So you're going to want a tankier person to be your ultimate partner, because that you don't want them to just go in there and die. So if you have a Soraka, you probably would want to bind with a tank in the top lane for team fighting or anything like that. Now, do keep in mind that you can buy another spear for binding later on in the game. So if you bind to somebody and you're not having good luck with it, you can actually go back to the store. It's 0 gold. You just got to go back, buy another one, and then bind to somebody else. Binding to the jungle is also a great option, because you're able to use them to ultimate when you get into a fight, when they come down to gank, or many other things. So this was just a small video going over how to play Kalista, what her abilities do, and some of the tips that I would suggest when it comes to learning how to play her. I think she is very strong, and once you learn how to play her, she is fantastic to master. With all of this being said, I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like down below, as well as a comment. Let me know if you have played Kalista. Let me know what you think about her, and let me know if you think she needs a little bit of extra love in the upcoming patches. Maybe we'll see her take a leap in next season. And if you guys would, please subscribe. It really helps me out and lets me know that you guys enjoy the videos I make and the content I create. Now, with that being said, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for joining the Stone Army.